Man, oh man, Ben Shapiro can't keep it together. So welcome back to the channel, Culture Confederacy here. Happy Friday, everybody. Now, I normally do these Oddly Friday news segments, but damn it, every time I want to do one, something else happens in the news. And there might be some background noise here because my neighbor's got her grandkids over. They got some music going. So don't dock me, YouTube, okay? That's my neighbors. But let's get into this. Now, Megyn Kelly, get the words out here. She had an interview with Tucker Carlson, I believe, yesterday, and I think earlier today, or maybe the day before, I forget, however it worked here. Maybe the day before she had this interview, and then with Tucker, and then now she had this interview today, I think it is, with Ben Shapiro. But at any rate, so they're talking about this interview. And of course, Ben is seething because Tucker went hard enough on Nick Fuentes. So you got to hear this. Now, these are all clips available here on YouTube. So for the sake of copyright, this is not an outside source. And that the material being used in this video is for political analysis or critique only. Just need to make that clear. So again, these are all available on YouTube. Let me give you the name of the video here on YouTube so you can go and find it. Megyn Kelly and Ben Shapiro debate Tucker and Fuentes, free speech platforming and gatekeeping. And the second video we'll go to, again with Megyn Kelly. Ben Shapiro reveals text with Tucker Carlson and tells full backstory of how it got to this point. So as you know, big debate in the conservative movement. Should we be funding Israel? Should we be supporting Israel? If you don't, you're an anti-Semite, so says Mark Levin. These other people, and in some cases, Ben Shapiro. But you've got to hear this. You've got to hear this. So Ben kind of lets the cat out of the bag here. By the way, if you're new, you're not going to find any fancy graphics, no epic soundtracks, no pretty boy camera angles. So what you see is what you get. You don't see me come on camera and go, look at me, look at how gorgeous I am, or how much money I have, as I said, trying to get the words out. We do these in one take. They are what they are. And living in a single apartment, this is a challenge to do a YouTube channel. It really is. But I love being here, and I love doing this channel, as you guys know. So getting to the topic at hand, let me play the first clip for you. And pardon the audio here. I'm playing this from my laptop. Again, this is on YouTube. So we're going to go to the... We're going to go to the first clip here where Megyn and Ben are talking about Tucker having this interview with Nick Fuentes, talking about free speech. And you got to hear this. You got to hear this. Oh, it gets good. And it's a little testy. It gets a little testy. So here we go.
And he was making the case throughout the whole interview in the way that Tucker does. He's not like you or me. He's not like pointed and cross-examining.
That is not true.
And was making...
That is fundamentally untrue.
No.
Ask Senator Ted Cruz whether that is true.
He gave it to Ted Cruz because Ted Cruz is a politician.
Exactly.
Hold on. So only politicians get cross-examined?
You don't... Well, look,
Truly?
it depends on the person.
Tucker would never cross-examine a person who is not a politician. That's his rule?
Tucker has excoriated public figures who purport to speak for us and represent us.
And he has.
For many years. Nick
and so other podcasters, Megyn Kelly, even Ben Shapiro, to give him credit here.
We all in our industry are constantly excoriating people who are in our industry. It happens all the time, every single day.
Okay.
Again,
but we're talking about his interviews.
We can agree to disagree on your interpretation of what Tucker was doing there. I think everybody should watch and determine for themselves what they think Tucker was doing in that interview, and I urge you to watch it back-to-back with the Ted Cruz interview to determine whether you think that was an aggressive Tucker Carlson interview, and you can judge for yourself.
I didn't say it was aggressive. I didn't say it was aggressive, and I don't think he would say it was aggressive.
And I think
his point was, this guy, first of all, he's become a behemoth, sadly. He's got 5 million viewers on Rumble. He's got 1 million followers on X.
So I don't want to go too long with that clip, but wasn't it Ben Shapiro back in 2016 that excoriated Donald Trump? He was anti-Trump, anti-MAGA in 2016. Just saying. But what do you hear this next clip? This is where it gets really good. And I have to say, anybody who's got this perspective should not be in the business that Ben Shapiro is, or in any business, period. So just listen to this. This is Ben Shapiro talking about these texts he had, or this text exchange between him and Tucker Carlson, but he kind of waffles a bit, as you'll see here. So let's go.
For me, my business is really not about friendship. I have lots of friends, people who I love,
What?
with whom I disagree on politics and don't believe they should be leaders in the conservative movement, for example.
Who are you, Ben Shapiro, or Mark Levin, or even Megyn Kelly, or let's say Tucker Carlson? Who are you to determine who's going to be the leader of this quote-unquote conservative movement? Who are you? If you're claiming to be an inclusive tet here, and you don't want to exclude anybody, you want to bring as many people into the fold, then you would bring in as many views as possible, whether you agree with those views or don't. And then you can just hash it out within your own tet, within your own debates, and then have these elections of who the candidate's going to be.
And that to me is the real question. In any case, Tucker reached out. He said, we've had a bunch of disagreements, and what if we could put those aside and align toward the DSA in particular, is what he mentioned. And I said,
The DSA, not the TSA.
You're totally right. Let's do that. That would be great.
This is a little humorous moment here.
In fact,
The TSA?
the DSA,
Oh,
the Democratic
Since
Socialist
when?
of
The
America.
TSA? How did
Yeah,
that bring you together?
The Democratic Socialist of America. And the reason
No, that I know.
yes, and the reason that I'm taking
TSA
out my
only
phone
divides people.
True.
because yes, the reason I'm taking out my phone is because I don't just I like to evidence what I'm saying with evidence. So I texted him.
He likes to evidence what he says with actual evidence. With actual evidence. Interesting, he says that. Because if you go to and I'm just going to go to this now, this interview with Nick Fuentes, and again, I don't subscribe to Nick Fuentes' philosophy. I think he's really out there, but he has a right to say what he wants to say because we have something in this country called free speech, and the Constitution protects impolite speech, no matter how offensive that speech might be. But it's kind of my point here. But this is because they're saying he's radicalized. Ben Shapiro here is saying that, he said that he loved Hitler or he loved Stalin. But guess how this all started? I don't want to put the blame on this one particular instance here, okay? Because I'm sure there's many factors that contributed to Nick Fuentes having the views that he has now. But this is what he had to say in this interview with Tucker Carlson. Again, this is here on YouTube. You've probably all seen it. But I don't think Ben Shapiro actually watched this interview. I don't think he did. Because if he did, he would have seen this. This is at the very beginning of the interview with Tucker Carlson. It's about the 5-minute and 37 mark, somewhere around there. Just listen to this. Listen to this.
I was listening to Mark Levin's show. This goes to show how normie I was. Actually, I listen to him every day.
Wait,
listen
what?
To Mark Levin every day.
He listened to Mark Levin?
Wow. I was a fan.
A fan of Mark Levin?
I actually liked how he was kind of obnoxious and mean to his callers. Yeah. Vicious. And I liked that. And I thought that was funny. But I'll never forget one show.
Here you go, folks. Here you go.
He says, America's becoming a majority non-white country. Does anybody think that's a good idea? And I was thinking to myself, yeah, that actually doesn't sound so good. I didn't really even think that America's becoming majority-minority like that. And you were radicalized on race by Mark Levin? Yes. Are you making that up? That's a real story. Amazing. Mm-hmm.
And Tucker Carlson, you should see Tucker Carlson's face on this. He can't believe what he's hearing. He's like, wait a minute, you mean you were kind of radicalized by Mark Levin, who claims to be a conservative, and he's pro-Israel? And when he talked about Stalin, you can see clearly that Tucker was not agreeing with him about Stalin or Hitler, because he was a little taken back by that, if you look at Tucker's expression. Now, the other issue that came up, of course, was the fact, well, I guess it was in this other clip, trying to keep up here, where Ben Shapiro is saying, well, he was much harder on Ted Cruz rather than he was on Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson. Well, it depends on where the interview is taken. See, there's a lot of factors that go into an interview. This kind of reminds me of the interview that happened between Barbara Walters and Fidel Castro. There were a lot of rumors at the time that there was something going on between Fidel Castro and Barbara Walters, because she loved Fidel Castro. She absolutely loved Fidel Castro. It's well known. But there are rumors that there was something maybe that went on between the two when she spent that weekend in Cuba. Who knows? Now, that's something that Ben Shapiro should go investigate. Maybe Tucker Carlson should investigate that too. But nobody was screaming then. I don't remember anybody screaming, saying, how could you interview this dictator? Somebody can correct me in the comments section below. But your interviews, you know, let me put it to you this way. If I'm writing a piece of music, because I write music in my spare time, or let's say where I work at a hotel. Well, we'll go with that's my day job, is working in a hotel. But let's say I'm writing a piece of music. I have an idea in my head of how I want this piece of music to go. Well, when you sit down and you actually write out the parts, some things may not be possible with a particular instrument you're writing for, or it may not necessarily work in the piece you're trying to write. Same thing with an interview. Let's say you want to do something at your hotel. Well, that idea may not pan out so well. Let's say you want to have some type of event for the community, but you can't get a lot of sponsors behind it, or the scheduling's off. In other words, things don't always go the way you plan. Same with an interview. So when you're doing an interview, you have to take into account where is the venue, where we're having the interview, or where are we going to hold it. And if you're in the U.S. Capitol building and it's senator's office or representative's office, that's a little bit different than being in somebody's home. It's a different environment, you see. So you have to kind of balance things. And, you know, with a politician, you might be able to push a little bit harder because they're representing all of us, whereas you have Nick Fuentes, who's a podcaster, who's out there doing his own thing, whether you agree with him or disagree with him. Again, I don't subscribe to Nick Fuentes' philosophy. But I just think a lot of this is just window dressing, personally, and people getting upset over nothing. Really, getting upset over nothing. Ben Shapiro comes out against Donald Trump in 2016. You know, and where's the outrage over that? But now Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro and people like them, I'm not pointing this to you out, I'm just saying people like them, want to now say that they're spearheading the pro-MAGA movement when they were against Trump back in 2016. What changed? I'll tell you what changed. The fact that Trump won. You see, because it's not really about conservatism or liberalism. It's about either party getting power. That's what they want. It has nothing to do with conservatism or liberalism. As I said, it's about power. That's all they're interested in. Because if they really cared about conservatism, they wouldn't be freaking out about this interview. They'd say, okay, Nick Fuentes, he's kind of a weirdo, but he's not going to affect us. And so what if there's people who want to have that view? Let's bring him in. Let's hash it out. Let's have a real debate. Not on a college campus, by the way. So I wanted to share this with you. Tell me what you think in the comments section below. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. You can follow me at Instagram, #JasonComposes, because I write music in my spare time. Go to X, Culture Confederacy, Culture Confed 1 on X. Now you can find me at Substack. This is the Culture Confederacy saying peace out. Stay safe, everybody. Keep up the culture. God bless, and I'll catch you next time. Have a great Friday.